Hey, everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and before we start, make sure you go give us a review on Apple Podcasts because you're in the running for a chance at binoculars, trail cameras, OnX stuff, all kinds of good stuff, and some swag. Go do that real quick. And now, you're listening to the Element Podcast.
Count me in.
What's happening, all my woods people? It is blazing hot again here in Texas. KC and I are sitting in the truck because really neither one of us has a house to sit in. So we are sitting in the truck. It's pretty hot inside my shelter, and I've got 2 kiddos in there watching some Indian in the Cupboard.
Oh, that's a cool old school movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you our guest today appreciates that movie.
He might.
I 100% guarantee you he's a fan.
He probably is.
Yeah.
So our guest is Kyle Bennett. We met him at the QDMA National Convention last year.
Just so happens to be the 2018 Volunteer of the Year, I think.
Baby.
Yeah. Okay, so dude is a quality deer manager.
He knows what he's doing, man. And they had a pretty just gnarly, massive, which I know you know that I love, massive buck come off of their property this year.
Yeah.
Or this past year. So things are looking up for him, man. But anyway, he is just kind of become a good friend of ours, really good source of information with you having your property that you purchased last year. Just kind of being able to rely on him for information about anything from natives to non-natives.
Yeah, exactly. He really knows his trees. He really knows anything you want to ask him about, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man, is dadgummit. I try to be a guy who knows stuff. It's just something I enjoy. And Kyle Bennett is always like one step ahead of me. In a good way, though. He's never like, you know, it's like, dude's just real knowledgeable. And we're just going to have a good bro chat and talk about near everything. Elk hunting, whitetail, property management. A lot of gardening, a lot of eating.
Yep.
We all like to do that, you know, and just kind of the southern man meets a, adventure hunter kind of thing.
Exactly. So going to be a fun time. But first, we got some things we got to talk about because you and I didn't get to go to the TRCP Media Summit this year together.
No,
so.
I went without you, man.
Yep.
And I ate enough food for both of us, so they felt like you were there.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Kyle Bennett also appreciated where I was at for TRCP because our first night was at the C.C. Filson flagship store where they make all the Filson stuff. So that was cool. I didn't look at the price tag of anything. I just kind of
CC
admired.
stands for credit card, doesn't it?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a cool place, man. They have some really nice stuff, American made. So it's going to be kind of pricey, but they have good stuff. Anyways, they don't pay us, so we're not giving them any more airtime. It was a cool time, man. Giant moose in there, and just
juice.
Food. Yeah, juice.
Sorry, dude.
A goose. The food was spectacular. All locally sourced. That's the thing that always the first night of the TRCP thing is like locally sourced food. and it did not disappoint. We had like lamb shoulder sausage, chanterelle mushrooms on cheddar grits. It was that was the best thing, and it was a vegetarian dish. Well, I guess not vegetarian because there's cheese. Is that vegetarian? I don't know about that
Yeah,
world.
the whole vegan vegetarian thing is confusing to me.
V-word grits. Yeah, that's what it was.
The V-word grits.
Whichever one that applies.
Yeah.
But what else? We have salmon and
When are they
raw
going to bring
oysters.
it to Texas and do some authentic Tex-Mex?
Oh, man, they're going to need us to cook for them. It was good. I had gooey duck, which if you don't know what that is, look it up. It looks very phallic, but it's not all that good.
Yeah.
It was
It's a big old clam, right?
a big old clam, a hangy down clam
Yeah,
is what I would call
hangy
it. A big one, like a foot long. And
Did you chop it up?
They did it sashimi style. So it looked like, you ever seen radishes run through a mandolin? That's what it looked like, except all white. And it just was the fishiest thing I've ever tasted.
Really? What was the texture like?
Kind of like squid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I mean, texture was fine.
A little bit chewy.
I feel like as if they would have taken that and treated it like a fried pickle, it would have been real good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like, it probably would have been like fried clam strips
Yeah.
or something, you know,
I mean-
but it wasn't. So that wasn't my favorite, but at least I can say I've had gooey duck. I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
It is an Asian aphrodisiac. I did not have any of those feelings while I
That's
was there,
weird.
so
That's quite
I don't think
weird.
it works. But yeah, half the things out there are Asian aphrodisiacs.
Really?
Yeah, it's just kind of what
Maybe
they
they
do.
just like to be
It justifies their relentless killing of things that are rare. But anyways, enough of that. Enough of the criticisms of Eastern medicine.
Roasting.
Anyways, one of the things about that TRCP Media Summit, we had 2 days of concentrations. One day was concentrated on salmon,
another
which is
rare, becoming
rare. Yeah, it's
thing
crazy,
that likes
man.
to be killed off by certain
Like,
people.
They're like down to like 1% of what it was 50 years ago.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But then some of them are like still doing really good, like pink salmon are like, they're like, eh.
Yeah.
But it's like the cohos and the kings. So it's like silvers and kings, or coho and chinook, depending on which word you use. But anyways, they're kind of having a rough go of it. And the thing is that the general public doesn't quite understand, because they're like, look at all these fish. Well, a lot of them are hatchery fish, and like hatchery fish are a bad thing, pretty much. Like they're good because we get to eat them and stuff like that, but it takes so many resources to produce a hatchery fish, and then that hatchery fish is eating so many resources that wild fish could be eating, and they're not they're not reproducing because they're hatchery fish. So, you know, it's not like the hatcheries are working towards replenishing wild fish.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So,
Well, there's also instances where like hatchery fish they don't allow them to go up a river a certain point. Like at a certain point, they literally like catch every salmon that comes through and return all their hatcheries back like 10 miles down, and only let the wild ones go through to the upper rivers and stuff like that. I mean, you think about like from a resource standpoint of like humans having to be so involved and getting paid to do this, and what's the equipment cost and all that, you know, like, man, it's kind of, it's daunting for sure.
It is. And it's kind of like, man, I love salmon. I love eating it. But can we not just, like, for 10 years say, you know what, salmon's off the menu?
Yeah.
It just seems so simple. But I guess at that point in time, maybe you take away a value to something and then people stop caring about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I mean, there's another way to kind of probably head off some of those issues, right?
Yeah, it probably has something to
not
do
so
with
PC.
cooperating with the native tribes up there, or lack of cooperation thereof.
From them.
Yeah. Because we didn't really talk about this that much, but the native tribes, I mean, are just hammering like 95% of the runs
They
every
can
year.
pretty much do what they want, right?
Pretty much do what they want, because the salmon is their brother. So let's just...
Yeah, you heard a weird thing up there.
So there was a tribesman who came, and he was like the president of Northwestern tribes or something like that, and seemed like a nice enough guy. And I'm sure that through his eyes, their motives are true, and you know, it's neither here nor there. But he was like, you know, we treat the salmon like we believe they were once humans. which I kind of wonder what believe means there, because I really wonder. I don't know. I'm not going to say too much more on his personal beliefs, but we believe that they were once humans, so we like to treat them that way. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, so you're going to round them up in nets by the millions and slaughter them and sell them across the world? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I believe what you're saying here.
Right.
But
just kind of talk for the masses there.
Exactly. And that guy left real quick after the presentation. So no one got to talk to him.
There was some ragers ready to rage, probably.
Believe me, there were some people ready to just get after it. So we had some salmon presentations, and that was very educational, especially for me as a Southerner who just likes salmon. I like the idea of salmon runs, but I don't know that much about it. And we got to go to the Corps Engineer locks there on Union Lake. I can't remember the name of it. Ballard locks, that's what they're called. And there's a fish ladder where you can actually go underneath, and they've got like glass that you can look at salmon coming through there. There wasn't any, so that was
scary.
Cool. Yeah, literally the guy who's like worked there for 40 years says, "Yep, it's August 19th today, and I've never not seen fish on August 19th." So that's kind of scary. But here's the weird thing, okay? Sure. That run is a manufactured run. It's not even natural. So it's kind of like, I don't know, because back in 1905, I believe it was, they rerouted a river. Like completely changed the course of a river to run into Lake Washington, I believe, so that these locks would work. Like, I know that people in 1905 didn't really understand the wildlife implications of what they were doing, but man, they were doing some crazy cool stuff. Like there were some smart folks running around in 1905.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was a neat part of the trip. And then we went to Keene that night and ate at the Keene store, which we had like the most eloquent of bar foods. It was cool. Like they had some habanero macaroni fried balls.
Really?
They were good.
I bet they were.
And then, anyways, so that was the rest of that night. And then the next day, we talked a lot about wildlife crossings and a little bit about reforestation stuff. And what was the
migration?
Just the migration initiative in general, like, and how Wyoming's doing some really cool stuff, and everybody's jealous of how much work they've gotten done, pretty much. But it's kind of crazy how mule deer are such different animals than whitetail or elk. They just, and I guess not all of them do it, but man, some of those, like northwestern mule deer, are going like 1,200 miles or something ridiculous. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And then that was really neat. And then the one that I enjoyed the most was a presentation on wildlife crossings, because Ed Arnett and Patty Kramer, Dr. Patty Kramer, which Ed's a doctor too, I suppose, but just call him Ed. Anyways, they were Ed not narrated. What do they call whenever someone moderated the panel, and Patty was on there, and then a couple other really smart people too. And but Patty's done a ton of work in Texas, and not only with ungulates, but like with butterflies, with box tortoises and all kinds of stuff. And she actually just helped kind of start a wildlife crossing for box tortoise, whatever they're called, somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but it's like kind of a culvert under kind of thing. It's kind of cool. And they were talking about how like a thing has to be so big if it's an underpass for an elk to feel good about going through it or whatever. And I think the overpasses are probably the most effective, it seems, especially for large animals. But it was neat, man. I think that I'd like to have her on the show one of these days. We might have to do it, whenever we can get through this crazy hunting season that's coming up. But a lot of cool stuff there, man. I just feel like that's something that can mean something to all of us, because, I mean, wildlife crossing highway is a thing everywhere, right? And who actually pays attention to deer crossing signs? No one. Not one person. No. So the only reason they're there is for people to shoot at. That's the only reason that they're around.
Every one of them
as a whole
have a bullet hole.
Yeah, or a paintball or something. A big mark where somebody threw a bottle. It happens.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting facts from that day is that I posted this on the story. I might need to make a real post about it or something one of these days. But Texas has the highest dollar amount of wildlife-related vehicular accidents. So not the most frequent, because like places like South Dakota have like 23% of accidents are wildlife-related. Here it was only 7%, but the number, just because we have so many people hitting so many deer and hogs, that our number is like 360 million or something like that. I can't remember. It was like astronomical. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So a lot of money in Texas goes to repairing vehicles that kill animals. So
I've never seen a wildlife crossing in Texas.
No,
you know, like
there's
a
not.
overpass or whatever.
No,
underpass,
yeah, there's not one.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of math while I was there, like during that presentation, because I was really interested in it. And if you took the dollar amount that insurance companies spend, it's $5.4 billion on wildlife-related accidents. If you took that and just took 4% of that number, you could build 31 wildlife crossings. So if they took 4% of what they're going to spend on, the accidents, and just took that one year and said, all right, we're going to build 31 wildlife crossings, I guarantee you it would do more than 4% worth of good. You know what I mean?
So does that include like the fencing and everything? Like, what does it cost to build one of those things?
About $6 million to build.
Really?
That's the average, and I think
that
it's
sounds
between
expensive.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just dirt and concrete.
Man hours. A lot of man hours.
Yeah, but dadgummit, $6 million worth.
But, yeah. Well,
Man,
I mean, think about that.
It just kind of blows my mind. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
it's not.
I'll believe it. But think
mind.
about every time you see an overpass between here and Dallas, it costs that much to build that overpass.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. Municipalities are expensive things. But anyways, I just thought that was crazy that they spend that much money on vehicle accidents. And I asked, I said, so here's all the math I did real quick. Some of it might be flawed, but why don't insurance companies jump all over this? And Dr. Kramer gave me a one-sentence answer. She said, I've already asked this. It's because they said they'll just raise the rates instead. Instead of like doing some good, they just raise the rates.
Nice people.
It's over. Yeah, exactly.
It's easier. I mean, that's for sure. It's easier to do that than to try to get involved in doing something good, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And it's they'd rather say they're doing good somewhere else where they can get a bunch of publicity for it or something, as opposed to do something that's valuable for the earth. But whatevs.
Yeah.
Whatevs. You can get down about stuff like that, but the good thing is that people are actually working to make this better. And if you thought that was cool, spread that knowledge with somebody, because maybe we can get some more stuff done here in Texas. Because quite honestly, that gum, it's a big deal. That's a lot of money being spent in Texas just because we hit deer. And think about all the food waste and everything that goes along with it, or just if you want to get all hippie, just like the fact that you're killing something for no reason, especially deer. There's always a reason to kill a hog, but it stinks that like I've hit a couple deer and it stinks that they die, and like you don't get to eat them normally, So
yeah.
Anyways,
I can tell you that most of the time you don't.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's weird. I feel like there's a little different kind of mentality within our wildlife department of how those accidents are treated sometimes. You know, like I don't know. You see other states and they've got all these different like salvage tags and stuff like that, and that pretty much never happens here, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think that might be on the verge of changing.
You think?
I can't speak much more to it, but I thought that there's something in Texas changing a little bit on that. I'll do some research and we'll talk about that more later. But
that'd be good.
You were getting pretty excited about leaving Texas as of late.
Yep.
Yeah,
I am, and now that you're back, we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs in the 117 degree heat.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, I'm pretty much just, because of the heat, it's just this time of year, man. Like it gets so close that you can taste it, but like that's not bad enough. It's like, well, it's literally triple digits every day. It's muggy, no wind here where I'm at least, and it's just like, goodness, this is just brutal. Can we just get into an elk season here or something? So yeah, I'm pretty amped up. Got a lot of tags this year. Drew a Texas hunt.
Did you really?
I drew one. Yeah.
I kind of already knew that, but I kind of forgot about it. That is so. Do you want to disclose any more information on that?
It's just it's going to be a pretty good one. I think it's good dates. 11. It's like that. During that first week in November.
Yeah.
So.
In a really good spot.
In a good spot.
Like, one could say coveted Texas tag.
Yeah, right? I think definitely coveted. I mean, coveted to the point where I put in for this tag, not wanting to draw it this year because I didn't want to draw a tag this year because I've got Iowa on my plate and I wanted to focus on that. Mm-hmm. And so I found for my category, I found the highest odds and put in for it, and I drew it. Mm-hmm. Of course. So that's like, you never hear this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say it because we like being optimistic, but I've got too many tags this year.
Ooh, man, the year of the draw around here.
It's the year of the draw here. So.
Maybe I'll draw that Matador or Muse turkey, and then we'll just be all up in them. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool.
But
that's what I've been hoping you would draw. But yeah, we've. So I'm going to be doing that and spending some pretty precious days in November up there. But hopefully I get a cool experience out of it. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm wanting. The one thing that's unfortunate about it is, as most of these hunts are, I think, it's a one-man show. You can't go up there with me.
I don't get to go.
That's kind of cruddy, I really just want you to be up there to help me hunt. You're a good hunter, man, and you're really great map scouter and everything. And so just to have that extra eyes and everything, and then also if there's we work as a team pretty well when you talk about hunting from the ground, that kind of thing. So if there's that opportunity there, which there is, I'm going to pretty much be doing it all by myself. So it's It'll be fun. It'll be good and refreshing. But I just hope that I don't have to hunt too much by myself this year, because I know that I am going to be hunting by myself a few times, as opposed to last year where it was really just one time, and I actually killed a deer.
I know, dadgummit.
So maybe I'll kill a bunch of deer this year because I'm hunting by myself.
I hope you do. I hope we all kill so much. I hope everyone listening kills so much.
So much.
It's that time of year. Late August is the hype of hype right now.
It is, man.
Midwest whitetail. We both just finished chasing November.
Dude, I was sad to
I know. What do you do? So now it's a big break until Bill and them get going for October. But anyways, it's a lot of fun this time of year. And I hope y'all are all having fun. And quite honestly, I had a lot of fun talking to Kyle Bennett, because we're like blood brothers, man. He's just another kindred spirit, kind of an old soul kind of guy. And can't wait to see how his season goes, too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into the podcast with him, man. How about?
Sounds good.
All right, so now on the phone we have Kyle Bennett. Really awesome dude. That's all I can say about him. What's going on, dude?
Hey, man, it's going good. How are y'all?
We're doing well, man.
Doing well.
We just saw a bunch of deer, so it's hard to beat an evening where you get to drive around and just talk to your buddy and look at a bunch of deer, man.
I heard that. I saw a bunch of grass.
Bunch of grass?
Oh, my goodness.
You've been putting in the sweat. Oh, man.
See, that's miserable.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to have a mowing business, man, in high school and pretty much high school. In summertime, I did some, and me and my buddy did it. And then I pretty much got so burnt out on it that I tried to clear as little space for my house as possible so that I don't have to ever build or mow a yard again. So,
Yep. So I just count it as elk season training. Yep. So, I threw a little weight on the back and got the push mower out, and doing my front yard route is exactly 1.56 miles. So
all right,
cool.
It's flat ground and it's only at 7 feet above sea level, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. So what pack are you running, man?
Well, for this, I use a good old school Cabela's metal frame pack with a sandbag strapped on the back.
All right.
That's my workout pack.
Yeah.
You're a serious mower, super
serious.
Oh, yeah. You and I have been talking packs a little bit and social messages and stuff. I'm guessing that's not the one you actually hunt in. Is that right?
No, I've got quite a few, and I go through them like crazy because I'm such a gearhead. I love to test new stuff out. So I've got a few different ones I use for elk the past couple seasons. And, we're the hunt that me and my dad usually do is we are hunting from a base camp. So I'm using just a day pack, and I run a Tenzing. I think it's a 2200 or 2220, just a standard day pack. It's been pretty good. And then I just picked up that new Sitka 2700 mountain pack, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty stout. So I'm be testing that out this year, and I've got a bunch of other stuff I use for whitetail and whatnot. But
what do you think about that 2700?
I like it. I mean, it's more than what excuse me, it's more than what I need. as far as space for a day, but I wanted to get something that I could do a little heavier duty scouting trips or day trips in if I wanted to. So it's got a lot of nice room. You could probably pack out something small if you wanted to with it. I don't see why that'd be a problem. It's built really well. The suspension, the harness isn't adjustable, but it's stout. So you can probably pack a whitetail out pretty easily with it.
Cool.
I don't know about hauling an elk quarter, but it's a nice pack. It's got some good pocket features, a lot of room. I like that it's got a lot of room for a lot of water, and there isn't a whole lot of internal organization, but other than that, it's a nice solid bag. So we'll be putting it to use this September in Colorado.
Yeah, that's
Sweet.
good. I think that you'll be good to go on the quarter in that thing, because I have that Flash 20, and I fit a hind quarter in there, no problem really. I mean, minus the shank bones. So I think
right. I don't think it'd be any issue at all to throw one in there.
Yeah.
I think I've heard Barklow say you could easily run up to 45 pounds in it or so.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
yeah, cool.
that'd be a good size quarter.
Yeah.
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 So, you talked about y'all's place in Colorado, and you and I text pretty often, really, about Colorado elk woods and whatnot. And I feel like we have a parallel path to Colorado, to where there's like some deep family ties to that part of the state. Tell us a little bit about your spot up there.
Yeah. So, obviously, I live not just in the South, but the deep South. Very deep South. I live pretty much right on the Gulf Coast in Southwest Louisiana. And about 45 years ago or so, 45 years, my grandparents retired. They found this little place in Colorado and bought the property and ended up building a kind of a cabin or like a lodge sort of on it. And it's just a sort of jewel of a piece of property. It's not real big, but it's in the middle of one of the biggest national forests in Colorado. And, it's just there was a little chunk of private land there. So it's got some cabins around it. So, I've been going up there, my whole life basically. And I used to spend weeks and weeks at a time. When I was younger, all summers, and as I got older, the deal was I spent a lot of time there in the summer, but I was always in school in the fall, so I never really got to hunt. But my dad always runs a big hunting camp out of it for friends and family every fall, and he stays up there for 2 or 3, or now he stays for like a month in September. So it's been pretty good, but so I used to spend the whole summers up there enjoying the mountains and doing some of the scouting and the work before the hunters got up there in September. And so I like to say, I am elk crazy more than many people who have never been on an elk hunt. Which, I don't know if that sentence made sense, but anyways, I didn't get to go on my first elk hunt up there until 2016. So I've only hunted up there 2 seasons, and but like I said, I've been going up there my whole life, and that's just kind of our area. It's an over the counter unit. It gets hunted pretty hard. There's a reasonable amount of pressure, but my dad's been able to be successful on, I don't know how many he's killed, but usually every 3 or 4 years he'll kill a decent archery bull. So, just a good, nothing giant, but just a good representative, mature over the counter bull. And, so he's been a pretty good teacher. And, I hunted 2016. We got close a couple times, didn't pull it off. And then last year that would have been 2017, excuse me. And then last year, 2018, we had a pretty tough hunt. Conditions were really bad drought conditions. And we had some some really bad forest fires burned through the area, and we hadn't had enough time for it to really bounce back yet. And so we struggled a little bit, but we got really close to a really nice bull one night, and I almost killed, but he just would never give me a great shot. And I got some really cool audio clips of him bugling and chuckling, right at dark, like that's 30 cool. yards, like right up in my lap. He could never really get on him, but he was a great bull for that area too. And I just thought it was going to happen, but it didn't happen. But I was so pumped. I didn't stop shaking for like 3 days. I was just so. I mean, I hunt a lot, and for me, it's so much more of an experience thing. I mean, yeah, I kill my fair share of stuff, but like I don't get bummed out if I go on a trip and come home empty-handed, because for me, it's about the experience and just being there and getting in the the high country and just getting to spend time with my dad hunting. And so just having that bull bugling in my lap, and I drew back on him 3 or 4 different times and just could never get a clear shot. And, I mean, you would have thought I'd killed a 360. I mean, it was just worth it it for me. So this year we're going back and going back again, and we'll see if we can catch up with them. Maybe 3rd time's a charm. We'll find out.
Yeah, hopefully so. I tell you something I've kind of learned. I've been on I think 4 elk hunts that as a hunter, and seen quite a few animals, but it's the ones I remember the bulls I've killed. Don't get me wrong, but man, the thing that keeps driving me and like kind of. I don't really lose sleep, but the things I think about as I'm falling asleep at night are the bulls that I missed or didn't get to take a shot at, but were just right there in my lap. And there's something about that, man. Whenever you feel that bugle in your chest, that's something, like there's so many things about TV and media that don't convey, and that guttural feeling, like you don't just hear a bull bugle when they're close, you feel it. And it's so cool, man. And it's just like...
Yeah. I agree. The first I remember where I was exactly the first wild bugle I ever heard, and bull was actually reasonably close, and he had answered back to my dad, had made a bugle, and to be honest, I thought it was a hunter. Like I was so shocked to get an answer. I was like, "There's no way," and my dad's like, "Yeah, that's a bull," and I was like, "No way, it was like 200 yards away." I said, "That's got to be a hunter." And then it chuckled, and I was like, okay, that's a bull. I don't think there's any hunters in here who can sound that good. So,
yeah, they're pretty cool animals, man. Pretty cool critters.
It's crazy. Dude, I feel like for me, I've been on a hunt with my dad back in 2011, and then I went with KC in 2017, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so like. Neither one of those, I guess on both, but I wasn't the hunter in 2017, 2011. My dad and I were together, and so we didn't have any like bulls come in or anything like that. But I feel like it would be like such a bummer to have a bull that you draw like 3 times on and not kill as your first one. You know what I mean? Like that one's like it's okay for me. Like if I have a deer come in that I really want to shoot and I don't. I had it happen last year where like I got deer in range that I want to shoot and I can't get a shot at them. And like as a guy who shot a few deer, that's not the end of the world. I mean, it stinks for the day or a few days or whatever, but like I feel like the first bull elk that you have come in, like if you don't kill it, that's got to be kind of like something that you deal with for a while,
Yeah, I really wasn't bummed out, to be honest. I mean, it was just such a cool experience. And, like I said, like I've sort of been in the elk world for a while, kind of grew up in it without actually making the hunts. My dad spent weeks out there every year and taking other people. And I was like obsessed with it and spend a lot of time in Colorado and just never got to really go hunt myself. So I actually, am reasonably good at field judging. And when I saw this bull that we had been working, top this little hill where we were, it was a pretty nice bull for that area for what I've seen come out of there over the years. And so I told my dad, I was like, I don't know if I deserve a bull that good for my first one, Like,
yeah.
Like it was a pretty nice bull. And but anyways, it's the stuff like that keep you going back for sure.
It's crazy how an animal that big, 600, 700, 800 pounds, can be so close and still not get a shot. Like I feel like, like the whitetail world, like pretty much, if a buck is within 30 yards, I'm probably going to have a shot opportunity. I mean, it all depends on where you're hunting, what the terrain or the habitat's like. But for the most part, you're probably going to get a shot. In the elk world, I mean, this past year I had a bull at like 11 yards and couldn't get a shot, because he's on the other side of some spruces. And I remember thinking all I could see was his ear and his eyeball and the back of his skull. And I was thinking, man, I would never take that shot. But I'm like, man, I could probably kill him if I wanted to right there. But I didn't do it, But it's just like, how is he that close and he's the size of a horse and I can't shoot him? It's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, this was one of those deals, and these elk that we're hunting, that, like I said before, they get pressured pretty hard. So they really don't bugle a whole lot. Mm-hmm. We usually hunt toward the end of the season anyway. And so they've been getting chased for 3 weeks already by the time we get there. But anyways, this was, my lack of experience as an actual elk hunter. I set up in not a great location. We had the thermals and everything perfect, and we got lucky there. But I was set up in kind of a bowl below a pond, and the pond was about 150 yards away or so, and there was a lot of scrub brush in between the pond and where I was, like oak brush. Mm-hmm. And I was in an aspen bowl, and the bull cut through the oak brush. And so all of a sudden he popped out. He just sort of appeared right on the edge of the bowl, and he could see everything in the bowl, and he hung up, like an old Eastern gobbler. And he didn't see another bull or a cow in that little bowl. So he wasn't coming any closer than where he was, and he was facing me. So even though he was within range, there was no way I could put an arrow in, but that was just one of those lessons you learn. I learned plenty of them so far. I got tons and tons of them left.
Yeah, that's kind of important thing to think about, man. Is like it's so hard for me, like to see dudes who go and do this and are successful like all the time, because I want to be one of those people. But I mean, quite honestly, we just don't have enough notches in our belt a lot of times. We just haven't made them enough mistakes, and it kind of stinks to see that, to say that. But a couple months back, I was listening to a sermon on wisdom, and the preacher said, if you ask for wisdom, be prepared for pain, because they kind of come hand in hand. Like exactly. You're not going to learn wisdom by rainbows and unicorns. You're going to learn wisdom by heartache and by stuff that you got to deal with, and it's the same way in the woods.
Yep, and those guys who are getting it done, like you said, more notches in their belt, more experience. That's because they've been able to do, what they needed to do to get there. But if we brought them down to, Texas and dropped them off on a piece of public land, gave them a hang-on tree stand and said, "Get after it, bring back a whitetail," not many of them be coming back to the truck and drag it.
I know, because I don't come back to the truck with one either.
Right.
Yeah. Have you done the Texas thing before?
I've hunted a little bit. A lot of my people are from Texas. My grandparents lived there for a long time, and I've spent some time hunting over there. Not a lot recently, and haven't done any bow hunting. Most of it was just good old deer lease hunting with my grandpa back in the day.
Oh, it's fun stuff.
But no, I haven't. I've done some other kind of hunting. I've done some bird hunting, some quail hunting and stuff in Texas, but no, haven't done too much of the deer thing. I spend most of my deer hunting over in Mississippi. That's where our family place is.
I got you.
What part of Texas are your grandparents from?
East. They live in Woodville. Like kind of south of Lufkin.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could see that being called Woodville down there. There's a lot of woods.
Yeah, it's pretty much pine tree country, and then my brother lives over in Austin, and I've got some other relatives spread out around the place. So
yeah, cool. I didn't realize until just the other day you and I were talking. So your brother's Fly Geek Matt, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's the lunch money guy.
He's
right?
the lunch money guy. Yep. He's a Umpqua fly tire. Yeah. He's got a fly named after
Oh, he
him.
created the lunch money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. And he's a good follow on social. He does a lot of.
Well, so is Kyle.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest, man.
The
like
Bennett
you're-
brothers, man.
Yeah, dude, you're such an interesting guy, man. Like, you just like are everything that I want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I just
beautiful,
you're
man.
like a master gardener, you know, and like, you know, get to go elk hunting and deer hunting in Mississippi. Like, who doesn't want to deer hunt in Mississippi? If you've ever watched Will Primos, you know, like
That's right.
you want to go desert deer hunting in Mississippi. You know,
Yeah.
So.
It's a different world over there for sure. Now it's sure not easy, but it's a different world.
yeah,
Yeah. So how long has that place been in your family?
So my dad and I started hunting over there. That's another place. I've hunted up there pretty much my entire life. Pretty much grew up hunting there. We were on a lease, a club, big hunting club over there with a bunch of friends and family from home. Since I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. I mean, pretty much since I first started hunting. And so I've grown up hunting over there. And then back about 5 or 6 years ago, we bought our own little place that is kind of in the middle of this club. And so, you know, we're real into the land management side of things, and all we do pretty much is bow hunt, and we like to do habitat work and stuff. So, you know, buying our own little chunk had been a dream of ours, and we, you know, where we could kind of do what we wanted on it, and so we made that happen. And I spend way too much of my time over there, mostly working. Not, you know, it's a little bit of hunting and a whole lot of work.
yeah.
But I love it. It's good work. So just keeps me busy. I'm always running all over the world.
Yeah, I know, dude. You do stay busy, man,
Yeah.
and we appreciate your time with us, man, for sure. But
No problem.
I definitely am interested, and I don't mean to take it away from hunting, but I'm interested in like how you've gained so much knowledge with like plants. It seems like KC's asking you another question about, you know, some kind of tree or something like that every other week on our social media messages because, you know, he's got this new property or whatever. And like, how did that all, I mean, I know you just said that's something you guys have been into for a while. When did that all come about?
I guess it kind of comes from how I was raised. My dad, our family owns a big timber company, and he's a wildlife management and forestry guy. And so his side of the family's always been in trees. And then on my mom's side, they're all gardeners. And so, you know, her and my grandfather, and so it was kind of two perfect storm of things that kind of came together. So, I mean, it's just kind of how I grew up. I mean, I was mentored by, you know, some guys and mainly my dad when I was young, and we'd go, you know, stumbling around the woods, and he'd be pointing stuff out and quizzing me, and, you know, I had to learn what it is and why it's good for wildlife, and, you know, what it looks like at certain times of the year. And I mean, I was just always interested in that, even as a little kid. Same thing with animals. I mean, I couldn't even count how many field guides to North American birds and mammal tracks and all kinds of stuff I had growing up, and still have a lot of them. And I don't know, I've just always been fascinated by the natural world. And so I was kind of a nerd that way, I guess. And, you know, just, I don't know, I just loved it. And I had people who, you know, helped stoke that fire in me early on. And I mean, I used to get in trouble from some of the teachers in elementary school because I'd finish my work early and I'd pull out not even a hunting book, but like a deer biology book.
That's cool.
That's funny, man.
Or a Cabela's catalog.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling
you,
man, them catalogs, I don't know. I feel like that's a thing that the new generations won't get into. But I can't
really
even
sad.
tell you what it was like to have like a Bass Pro Shops catalog come in the mail for like the spring season, whatever.
Yeah,
about
it's
Christmas.
Absolutely no lie. Like I used to carry one around in my backpack at all times.
Dude, I'm right there with you.
Because I've always been the same way. I'm like a super gearhead, and I love hunting gear and testing stuff out. And so, I'd be, 7, 8, 10 years old, whatever, my little school backpack loaded down, not because of school books, but it had hunting magazines, catalogs in the back.
Dude,
and
that's
so
funny.
I'd have my pages marked, ready to turn my list into Santa Claus.
Oh yeah,
and,
I knew the codes of like all these baits and stuff. I can't believe I was that nerdy about it.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Did you ever buy the little thing that looked like a crankbait, but it actually was to get your lures unhung? You know what I'm talking
I know what
about?
you're talking
Did you
about.
ever get that?
No. I was interested in it though.
I looked at it all the time and never bought it, but maybe I should have.
So anyway, how's your garden? Like, what's in your garden this year, man?
So right now, it gets so hot down here where I live on the coast, and the humidity's so hot. A lot of stuff kind of stalls out this time of year, and where I live, it's wide open. There are no trees here. I live in part of Louisiana that's coastal prairie, and so it's not really like forest. And anyway, so that everything here just gets baked. So I've got a lot of different varieties of peppers that are still doing real good, but my tomatoes, I had a real good tomato year this year in the spring, but they've kind of slowed down to nothing, which is expected. And same thing with like a lot of my pickling cucumbers and stuff like that. And I've been kind of behind on the ball and haven't gotten any okra planted yet, but I'll get a good crop of okra and squash in another month or so. And then probably another, a couple of rows of snap beans again. And I may do some more fall tomatoes. We'll see how things go.
When do you plant those fall tomatoes?
Well, typically, if I'm starting them from seed, it might be right now. But if I'm going and grabbing them from the hardware store, it doesn't really matter. Typically, I'd do some of both, but just depends on what I got going on.
Yeah,
but the good thing about our climate down here is we can get definitely 2 crops of summer vegetables, where most people can't. So it's pretty convenient. I've put up a lot of stuff already this year, and so we'll be set for a little while at least.
I always have the best intentions of having a fall garden, and it never happens because it's just like hunting season prep, and you just never get around to it. It'd be great. I hear that fall peppers are like awesome. They're supposed to be even better than like your spring and summer peppers.
They get a lot sweeter.
Yeah.
Really? And most of mine, the good thing about mine is my peppers usually just persist into the fall, and I'm just still picking the same plants. I get so much yield out of them, but I usually will do like a smaller version of my spring garden I'll do in the fall, but at the same time I'm starting to plant some of my stuff for the winter, and I just do a lot of greens, collard greens and turnip greens and beets, and may do some carrots and stuff like that. I'll get started kind of around the beginning of hunting season. So anyways,
man, there's hardly anything better than fresh greens, man.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and Casey, with your new property you got, you ought to plant you some little green plots on it, because the good thing about those is you can just, if you don't shoot a deer, you can just go pick a handful of greens for the night, carry them. I can't tell you how many times we've done that.
Yeah, would you plant collards, or what would you plant?
No, it just depends on the area, but turnips, are deer, especially when it gets colder. And the good thing about turnips, there's a lot of different types of greens that they'll eat. The good thing about turnips is, for some reason, most of them don't hit it right away. and so it gives them time to get a little bigger, and then they'll start hitting it a little more as the weather gets colder. But by then you've got some pretty mature plants, and then that's good for you, the eater.
There you go.
So they don't necessarily get wiped out.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, man. I'm thinking about maybe a little cereal rye.
Is this, you're talking about your watermelon plot?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about the cereal rye back here on the tree line. And then the watermelon plot, I'm thinking about doing a diverse seed mix. Yeah, Matt and Adam pretty much are just on top of this, so I just listen to what they say, about stuff. But I got really, really sandy soil with low pH, and I haven't had time to lime it or do anything to it. And I don't really know if I want to. I kind of like things the way they are and just try to work with it. That might be dumb. I don't know, but the property is what it is, and I don't know. I just feel like, well, the hand of man is going to be on everything from here on out. It's just the way we do things. But if I got a place like this that's like a virgin property, I kind of like the way it is, and I almost even don't want to plant anything and just kind of just leave it. But at the same time,
there's a lot of benefit from just managing your native vegetation as best as possible.
Sure.
What I tell a lot of people in management stuff, and those natural plants were designed to grow more vigorously in a lot poorer soil than the majority of stuff we're planting with a tractor.
Yeah.
And if you can do whatever you can to make it easier for those things to grow, then that's more beneficial to deer than if you planted a clover food plot. Now, there's nothing wrong with planting a clover food plot, and I sure do a lot of it. But like I said, those native plants that are of equally good nutrition as a lot of stuff we plant are genetically designed through years and years and years that they evolved to be tougher than a lot of the food plot stuff we plant.
Yeah, sure.
It's easier. It's easier to get survival and success out of a lot of that.
Yeah, I think a big thing that we have around here, the more the problem is like invasive or noxious plants. So like right now I'm looking at, well, I know that this thing was covered up with sourdock this spring, which is from the Mediterranean, I think, or something like that. I don't know. And it ain't really good for much. And then I got coastal over here on this side of the property where my neighbor happened to mow for the last 10 years. And Craig Harper would be real ticked at me for that. So I got some work to do to get rid of that stuff. And I think maybe that's where I really need to start working, is to kind of more remove the stuff that's we've already kind of messed up, and then let the native kind of do its thing.
Definitely. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of work, but it's really fulfilling work is the way I look at it.
Yeah, for sure, man. How many trees have you planted on y'all's place?
I honestly wish I'd kept track. I've easily planted 250 or maybe 300 or so, and not. I haven't gotten survival out of all of them, but probably 85% have made it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a lot of fun. Like I said earlier, I like trees. I got a green thumb. I like watching stuff grow. It's just a cool feeling to me to think that, I put this here and, one day there might be a turkey roosted in it, or, there's going to be deer eating out from under it. This, we've got one little area on the property that we bought that's, it was an old abandoned field, small, not very big, about a half acre, just a section. And my grandfather was still alive. We went one day and we planted the entire thing in persimmon seedlings.
Oh, and awesome.
Yeah, we love persimmons, and we have some native persimmon over there on the place, but it's really hard to find females. We find males all the time, and if you know anything about persimmons, only the females make fruit. Yeah. So you can have persimmon trees that are good for nothing, essentially. And it seems that there's way more male trees than female trees, but
yeah, that's how it is in my place. I think I've got like 4 or 5 female trees and probably 20 male trees floating around out here.
So we planted this one sliver in nothing but persimmon seedlings, just little whips from Mossy Oak Native Nurseries, and this past fall, the first one had the first fruit on it.
All right.
Wow. Yeah, so that was a cool feeling, just to see that. And so they had been in the ground, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting, man. I bet there's a lot of, I don't know how to say this, but environmental types that out there that have planted about 250 less trees than you have. But that's cool, man.
Well, yeah, I like it, and I'm an architect by trade, and so that sort of design, I tackle everything with sort of that design mentality, and I just love the idea of not completely manipulating the habitat, but I guess enhancing the habitat for the betterment of the wildlife, and not just the game species. I mean, I'm doing it for everything. I'm there for the bluebirds and the the honeybees and the turkey poults and the all the critters. So I just that's just really fascinating to me, and is sort of this habitat manipulation, but in a good way.
Yeah. Have you started seeing return on y'all's property from that?
Like success return, like hunting success return, or
just in general? Have you we all like to talk about hunting, right? But if we're all three of us are honest with each other, we just like critters. So, I mean, have you seen, a more abundance of songbirds in the spring, or, are there little things you can point to where, like, you can definitely see that, like, your hand in helping enhance the habitat has made a difference in wildlife?
Yeah, definitely some. I mean, the property we bought, I wouldn't say it was, devoid of wildlife. It wasn't like a barren wasteland, but, every little bit we've done has helped, and it's definitely been increased on all sides. And whether that's directly from all the work and sweat and time we've put in or not, it's, I get to experience it either way.
Yeah, for sure,
man.
That's cool.
You jinx. So what about, so, I mean, I know, like, a guy like you that's that gardens and stuff like that, and then hunts as well. I mean, you probably cook a lot of stuff that you've either planted and picked or that you have shot, I guess. Like, what are some of your favorite things to do with a Mississippi buck?
Let's think about that. Well, I am a Southerner, so good old fried backstrap and gravy and biscuits and peas and fried okra is about as good as things get for me.
I hear that.
But I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff. I grow a lot of different kinds of peppers, and I grow a lot of hatch chilies.
Really?
People in Hatch, New Mexico are going to yell at me for calling them hatch chilies, but I grow a lot of those types of peppers.
That's an Anaheim, right?
An Anaheim, yeah. And so I go through the whole deal, roast them and peel the skins and come out with the actual green chilies when you're done. And so I've been making a green chili stew from some elk meat my dad had, and you eat it with some tortillas. Oh man,
it's so good.
Super good.
That sounds good, dude.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Oh yeah.
We just had supper, and I'm hungry.
Yeah. It's good to beat or hard to beat just a ground like venison, like a taco salad. In fact, that's what I have for lunch.
Yeah,
dude, I do that one a lot. It's so easy, man. It's like too easy.
Oh, yeah. It's and actually reasonably healthy. It's pretty good. So just all kinds of stuff like that. So
yeah. What about the turkeys? You got anything besides the fried turkey strips that you like to do?
Well, I do like to do that. We've got a pretty good recipe. I'm gonna have to pull my little note card out of the book, wherever it is, but it's a slow cooker recipe. And you actually cook it down with orange juice and cranberry sauce and some other things and eat it over wild rice. And it is super good.
Oh, it sounds like it.
I'd be down
but
for that.
I've made a white chili with turkey. What else have I done? I've smoked it and grilled it, and of course, it's good. It's not like fantastic, just because of the quality of the meat is a little, I guess, tougher than a good old butterball turkey, but it's hard. It's hard earned, and it still tastes great. Let me think. I guess that's about it with a turkey. It's honestly hard to beat the good old fried turkey strips and gravy.
KC's done a couple from his turkeys this spring, a couple of batches, and I got to eat a little bit of it, and it's I'm looking forward to doing mine. I actually have done both legs in 2 different recipes this year. I haven't done any strips, so I was kind of saving them for something special, which really technically my kitchen is so tiny right now that doing fried chicken strips, or turkey strips, is not like an ideal situation for us in the kitchen right now. But I'm pretty excited to get back to that, because we did do the backstrap venison, fried up,
man.
and that's like, I mean, literally, like, if you do it right, it doesn't get any better, So
yeah, that's like my meal, that's like my death row meal right there. And backstrap and a pan of hot biscuits and some good old gravy and some fried okra and some field peas.
My wife's
some banana pudding.
Oh, dude, yes. And
we went there.
Okay, so this is turning real southern real quick.
Yeah.
But my wife's grandmother, she makes the best fried okra I've ever had, and I don't know exactly how she does it, but it doesn't have a whole lot of breading on it. So you just kind of like throws a handful of flour in there, and just it's like super just light and crispy, and it is the best, man.
Yeah, that's kind of how I make it. The old school way is you don't really batter it. You just kind of toss it.
Yes,
and some people use flour. We use usually some cornmeal, and you just toss it. You don't like dip it and bread it. Toss it and then fry it real quick.
It's way better that way, man. Yeah, and
I will eat it by the bag.
Dude,
I love it.
You and me would be fighting over it if we were together. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from South Louisiana, and all we do down here is eat and cook. And, I mean, I tell people all the time, our gas stations will outcook the majority of most places, like 5-star restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it. We were on the way to QD May last year, and where did we stop? Was it in Lafitte? Or
I can't
you say
remember.
Lafitte or Lafayette?
It's Lafayette.
Lafayette.
You probably stopped at Don's in right there on the edge.
Was it a truck stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's what it was.
Or Best Stop. You either went to Don's or Best Stop.
I don't know.
And you got boudin balls?
I got a boudin ball, and I got a shepherd's pie, and they were both real good choices.
Man.
It was so good.
We just did a long run up to the Pacific Northwest, and there was some pretty good seafood up there and stuff. But, we spent 4 weeks out on the road and came back to Texas. And the first meal I had was at my wife's grandmother's house, and everything on the plate. She cooked like some kind of like Mexican chili or whatever, and everything else on the plate was like out of the garden that day, fresh veggies, peas and fresh okra, tomatoes with salt and pepper, and I ate so much food because I had been I've been to all these places in the U.S. like you're saying, like they don't eat good food in a lot of places in the U.S. And luckily here, and I always talk about East Texas as kind of being a pretty good spot to eat as well, because we got you guys to the east of us to teach us how to do the Cajun and the crawfish thing, and then we got Fort Worth and Amarillo and kind of the whole steak thing going out to the west, so we kind of got the best of both worlds right here.
And the Tex-Mex coming
and
up
the Tex-Mex, obviously,
yeah.
So
that's what I like about my sliver of Louisiana is we're right on the Texas border, and I'm a Mexican food guy. That's my jam.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm close enough to get real good Mexican food, good barbecue, but we're in Cajun country. So obviously all the great food there.
Yeah.
There's a real funny story. I was hunting in northern Missouri, 2017, I think. or maybe 2016. I was over in Northwest Missouri hunting some public ground with some of my buddies from down here, and my real good buddy Alex Foster, who works for QDMA, he had called me because we were in the same town. He lives in Missouri, and we were up there from Louisiana, and he called me. He said, "Hey, are you hunting so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah, we're here." And I said, "Why don't you come over, hang out with us? We're cooking a gravy tonight." And he said, "A gravy? You're cooking a gravy? Just like a pan of gravy?" Like in Louisiana, we call stuff gravies. I mean, a gravy can be any kind of, it's basically anything where you cook some meat down and cook it so slow it deteriorates down into nothing and all the drippings in the pan. I mean, it's the best thing you've ever had in your life. It doesn't matter what's in it. They're all good. And so I don't remember what we were making. It was probably like a chicken gravy or something. But anyway, so he came over and he was poking around, and I think he ate probably 7 bowls. But anyways, yeah, it was just a bunch of, crazy Louisiana guys we're staying at this motel in Missouri, and we were out cooking in the parking lot with our iron pots and our propane burners. And we had people from every single room coming by to eat.
I'll bet.
We had the entire motel out there filling bowls up. We cooked every single night for like a week and a half or 2 weeks.
That's awesome. It's just one of those things where it smells so good people couldn't resist,
Yeah.
That's it. Y'all are those guys. Like you pull in and you're like, oh, I smell that grill over there or whatever,
You know what's funny is we actually got permission to hunt on some private property that way.
Hot dog. That's what we need to do,
like,
dude.
"Hey, why don't you go hunt this place?" And I was like, "All right, sure."
That's cool. I'm going to Southern Iowa and just
Just
cooking in a parking lot in Southern Iowa and see what happens.
No kidding.
So, do you take a rutcation almost every year like that?
Yes, so we do, and normally we did it on public land. Me and a bunch of buddies, we go hole up in some spot, and usually in northern Missouri and hunt. But actually last year, right before hunting season started, my dad and I found a farm, and we actually leased it because we have some friends up there who have a couple different farms spread out in this little area right on the kind of Missouri-Iowa border. And we've been looking for a place for ourselves to, kind of do kind of the same thing we've been doing in Mississippi, where we're real intense and stay on top of everything. And that's just how we like to hunt and scout. And this farm just kind of fell in our laps, and we went up there. I made a flying trip up there Labor Day weekend, drove 16 hours there, like hung some cameras and like 3 stands, and turned around 24 hours later, drove 16 hours back home, went back to work.
Boy, howdy.
And yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm used to doing all the time. That's the only way all this stuff works. But anyway, so we've had that place about a year now, and so we're I'm getting ready to go back in a couple of weeks to go get some cameras running and check on some stands. And it's been a lot of work getting sets hung and stuff up there, but it's a lot of fun. I love the Midwest, man. It's just I love hunting in the South, and it's got a special place, especially in that part of Mississippi where we hunt, not too far from the river. But it's still tough hunting, man. Those deer in Mississippi are tough, super tough. And I tell people that all the time. I get pegged by does 200 yards out all the time, just walking around looking up in the trees. Yeah. I mean, even I'm fully camouflaged, face painted, everything, and they saw me like squinch my eye trying to get a mosquito out or something, and just blew the area. I mean, it's not easy hunting. Those deer have been pressured and hunted hard for a long time, and it's tough. But you go to and it's probably the same thing for y'all. Like, you grow up hunting these tougher deer, and you go to the Midwest and you hunt some pretty good ground, even some public ground. It's like going on vacation, man. It's fun. Yeah. And that's not, I've killed some pretty good bucks up there over the years, but just deer getting close to you without, the deer in Mississippi just know, like if they didn't smell you, see you, or hear you, they just feel your presence.
Oh yeah, dude. The first time I went to Kansas, I was with Tyler. All right, and I'd never been in the Midwest before hunting. Okay, we hang in this tree. We're like, I don't know, 12 foot off the ground.
Yeah, not too high.
And a doe comes within 3 yards of us. Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's stupid close. And she's there for like 5 minutes. It seems like an eternity. And I could not believe I was that close to a deer who had no clue we were there. Like, it just doesn't happen, man.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, like, it's like they can feel your heartbeat or something. I don't know what it is.
It's nuts. I'm convinced that's what it is. I mean, I've hunted there my whole life, and a lot of times have done everything right, and it still gets screwed up. And it's just, I'm just used to it. I mean, I don't get necessarily dejected. It's just how it is, and it makes it all the sweeter when you go somewhere different. And what I tell people is that, like, all this stuff that we do, and thinking deer are going to do something at home and they don't do it. When you go hunt somewhere in the Midwest, it's like they do what they're supposed to do. and then it's a huge shock.
Like, maybe I am a good hunter.
Like, you mean this deer is actually going to walk down this trail and cross this creek in this spot and be in bow range? Like, like, really? Like, just like they just do stuff like they're supposed to do. I mean, you blow on a grunt call and the deer turns and looks your way and comes walking your direction. At home, if they'll run.
It's
exactly.
It's like a siren.
It's crazy, man.
You can be hunting,
I love it.
Private at home, and the deer just sketched out. But then you go to public in the Midwest and clank the horns together, and here comes a deer from a quarter mile away. Mm-hmm. It's just they're different critters, man. It's like I can't get over it, really, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah.
Love it all.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I get to I've made about a week and a half trip the past few years, and then this year I'm gonna do my regular trip, and then I think I'm gonna go back after Christmas and maybe do a late season.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna try to bow hunt and probably stick the muzzleloader in the truck, and we'll see how things go. I mean, I mean, I'm a bow hunter. I don't really, I can't even tell you the last deer I killed with a gun, but I mean, if it's super cold and it's just too tough, I think to bow hunt, we'll try that late season muzzleloader thing. We know some guys who do it up in Iowa, and they've killed some tanks.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, that sounds fun, man. I'll be interested to watch how that goes down, man, for sure.
We'll see. It gets pretty cold up there. I went up there and shed hunted this past year. It was actually Mardi Gras here, and I had a day off. So I said, well, I'm not much of a parade guy. So I went to Missouri and did some shed hunting. And it was -18 one day.
No, thank you.
It actually wasn't terrible. I mean, it was really cold, but it stayed moving the whole time, so it really didn't feel too bad. I mean, but it's just a different kind of deal up there than at home. So I like cold weather. So I enjoy it. But,
I don't mind it that much either, but I have been in -5 and I had a brain freeze, so I don't know if I could function in 18 below. But
I think it's a little different being in a deer stand or not moving around, but we were covering miles. I mean, I was doing 12, 13, 14 miles a day, trying to pick up sheds. So we were staying pretty warm. But of course I was bundled up pretty good.
Yeah, and that walking is a game changer, being able to move around and walk for sure. Why you guys travel? I mean, obviously you travel 16 hours to go hunt up there, and that's fun. But I mean, how much do you hunt in Louisiana at all, or not?
Yeah, I do a little bit, but really not too much anymore. And even growing up, just the majority of the hunting we did was in Mississippi. That's just the place we had. And I mean, it's 4 hours from where I live, 3.5 hours from where I grew up, and I mean, it's just normal for me. That's how it was almost every weekend. My dad would pick me up from school on Friday, and we'd drive to Mississippi and get there that night and hunt all day Saturday and Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon we'd drive 3.5 hours back home. I mean, I did that almost every weekend of a 4-month hunting season my whole childhood. So today it's just what I do.
Yeah.
It's standard. I mean, where I live, the deer hunting here is pretty awful. I mean, there are some deer, but it's tough for me to stick it out here at home and maybe see 5 or 6 deer a season when I can, go to Mississippi. And I'm not saying it's easy. There's just a lot more deer and a lot better when we kill some good quality deer over there, or at least I say we see them, we have them on camera. I mean, occasionally we'll kill one.
Y'all killed a toad last year, dude.
Yeah, it was one of our top bucks that we had been watching for a few years. I had, I don't know how many thousand pictures and videos of him, but a good friend of ours that we had in camp killed him at the end of the season after the rut. And I think he was 6.5 years old, and he scored right around 150, but he was an 8, and he barely had any G2s or G3s. Like, he had a little short time. So all that came out of just straight mass measurements. Yeah, he was a stud, and it's pretty cool in that part of Mississippi. Of course, we're not right on the river, but we're pretty close, and we're in the hills, and it grows some really good deer there, and they're not easy at all to kill. But they're there. So they're hard to hunt, but they're there.
What's the approach? Say it's a non-rut hunt, and what's the approach down there? I mean, the rage, it seems, for some reason, is buck bedding, and that's what everybody's all about these days. And I've had a pretty tough time applying that where we live. Now, there's a bedding area, and like you can narrow it down like, oh, he's staying over in this little 20-acre spot or whatever. But, this whole picking out specific beds and stuff, can't do that. So, what's your thing? Like, how are you hunting those deer if it's not a rut hunt?
And especially where we live or where we're hunting, because essentially it's big woods. I mean, they grow a little bit of cotton over there, but we're not in an ag country. We're not in the Delta, and it's forested hills, and majority it's all either pine or mature hardwoods with some bottoms, a lot of creek bottoms and stuff. But they can bed anywhere. I mean, it's not like the Midwest or hunting in the Delta where there's little patches of woods. I mean, they can bed almost anywhere they want. Yeah. So hunting bedding areas, I know there's guys who do it, and it's the rage now, like you said, but I mean, it has its time and place, and for me it's never been beneficial. I mean, even hunting topography like we are, it is extremely hard to pinpoint movement. There's trails, and then there's another trail 10 yards to the right, and another trail 10 yards to the right of that, and another yard, you know what I'm saying? On. It's hard to, especially for us, because, we're 100% bow hunting. And I can't even tell you how many big deer that I've watched walk by out of range, just because we want to stick with the bow. But, it's just part of it. But anyways, I like to hunt. I focus a lot on food mostly, and that may be
me too.
Native food. Yeah, not just me, but it may be the native food sources, mass trees. In our region, our rut peaks usually New Year's Day is peak breeding. So we got a super late rut, and so our early season type patterns last until like Thanksgiving. Almost.
Wow.
And our bow season opens October 1. So we've got, a month and a half of mostly warm weather, just early season type patterns. And, most of those deer get killed. I've had some good success, both me and my dad, on mature bucks right at the beginning of bow season on food before they get too squirrely. Mm-hmm. And that may be a food plot or like more. Most of the time it's mature, like oak tree or, a good feed tree and stuff tucked back in the woods. But within a week of that season opening, that first whiff of human scent those bucks get, they're nocturnal. You won't see them again till right around the time the rut picks up. So it's pretty hard to hunt them. If you can't get on a buck the first week or two of the season, it's ready. I mean, you go into doe mode. So that's we're trying to hammer on does and get our numbers where we need them. So that's what we do for most of the season until like December rolls around.
Yeah.
And then we switch to we're hunting more pinch point type areas as those deer start to cruise a little bit. Funnels, the typical buzzwords, trying to, hone in on some of those topography regions, even though it's hard to still concentrate the movement, but it's a better chance than you would have otherwise. And just, sticking it out, just time spent in the tree. Picking your battles sometimes too. Like some of the best or the absolute best deer hunt I've ever had in Mississippi. It was December 16th, which is about 2 weeks before our peak rut, but they were cruising and the weather had been super hot that season, really hot. We had very little cold weather, and I was actually in a wedding in Baton Rouge. Of course, one of my best friends decides to get married during deer season.
Me too.
And I was in the wedding, and had it been someone else, I'd have told him no. But anyway, so we went and did the wedding deal or whatever on Saturday, and I'd been watching the weather, and there was a massive cold front coming in.
This sounds like my wedding. This is my wedding to a T, I promise.
So a massive cold front coming in, and I told the guys, I was like, look, I'll be in the wedding and I'm out. And did the wedding, went to the reception or whatever, and then snuck out the back and called a couple hours or a little bit of sleep back in the hotel room, then got up at 2 or 3 and drove to from Baton Rouge to our place in Mississippi, which was, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 hours or something, and got in the tree and hunted the entire day. And I saw 7 shooter bucks and 25 or 26 deer total. Had 2 different shooters in range, passed one of them. Another one I drew back on and couldn't ever quite get a clear shot.
Hold on. Okay, a little clarification.
Saw one, yeah.
You passed a shooter. I don't understand.
Okay, so I say a shooter. He was a good buck. He was a little young.
I got you.
And he was, a lot of people would have shot him, and I decided to let him walk.
I got you.
And so he was still a really nice buck. But anyways, I let him go. And then later in the evening, I had a nice, mature, like older buck come right under me, drew back on him, could never get a clear shot. But I saw, like I said, like 7 bucks that day. I saw one buck that was one of our bigger deer that was easily over 160.
Oh, wow.
And, but he was about 80, 90 yards. But I'm saying, like,
sling it.
Yeah. The thing about slinging it at Mississippi deer is the deer are not there by the time they're
That's
there.
right.
Okay,
I know.
They look like that. They look like the Looney Tune cartoon. There's just a dust cloud left there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyways, but like the moral of the story is don't have friends that have weddings in December. No, I'm just like the moral of the story is like when you see these big weather switches at certain times of year, like you got to get in the tree and you just got to spend time. I mean, I sat all day and I'm kind of weird. And if things are right, like I like to sit all day.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Probably 2 of those bucks. That one buck that I ended up passing, I saw at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You just gotta get in the woods, man. You can't kill them on the couch eating, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch watching cartoons.
But that's good, though.
It is, especially during the
you
middle
can
of the day.
kill them eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the tree stand.
Hey, that's an idea, man. Carry some milk in a thermos and then have Cinnamon Toast Crunch in a Ziploc.
Yeah,
like that'd be all right.
It's not a bad idea.
Ever since this, so I like to eat, and ever since Jeff Lindsay got this Rut Snacks deal started last year, like it's just blown up. Like Jeff and I mess around all the time about he likes to eat too, and we've gotten arguments about, I say honey buns are better than oatmeal cream pies, and we throw down and have fighting words. But anyways, did y'all see Sam Soholt last year with the biscuits and gravy in the tree?
I did. He took it to another level.
That's like my favorite. That's my favorite one of last season.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it gets insane. Like that's something else that's just fun when we have the little rutcation. Rut snacks are just part of that DIY. Fun style little hunt. Just out of state trips. I've thrown quite a few slices of gas station pizza in my hunting bag and brought it into the tree.
Yes.
It's hard to beat, dude.
Oh, it's so good. That and Tyler and I have the tradition. We go to Dollar General, and they have duplex cookies, which is a chocolate on one side and a vanilla on the other.
For $1.
I'm telling you, dude, that package lasts a day.
It's like 50 cookies.
Yeah, it's gone. The whole year we spend trying to recover from the sloppiness that we accrue during deer season. And
I like to just say I'm sticking it out and burning a lot of calories there in the tree, trying to stay warm.
Exactly.
And got to have that. I like my goldfish crackers and gummy bears and
Last 2 years ago we had might have been that same cold front you're talking about, Arctic blast. Like super cold, late December. Mm-hmm. And I was going to do an all-day thing. Tyler couldn't do it or didn't want to do it, one of the two. So I went in and packed snacks. I really like breakfast burritos. It's like one of my favorite things.
Yep.
Well, Kyle, my water bottle froze solid, and my eggs in my burrito froze.
Oh, man.
Frozen eggs are not good. All right? No. It's like, it's so bad.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, so I forgot to say, like, when that front was coming through as I was driving from the wedding to our place, and the temperature dropped 45 degrees.
Oh my
goodness.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah. It went from mosquitoes and short sleeves to I brought out my Fanatic gear.
Fanatics in Mississippi.
And wore it in the tree. Yeah, it was cold.
Yeah.
That's like a one-time-a-year occurrence probably down there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's funny, man. So what kind of gear are you using usually there, I guess, in that whole like month and a half of early season?
So I'm, like we said, I'm a gearhead. I like to try out a lot of different stuff, but I'm pretty partial to Sitka. I've actually been using Sitka for a long time. I was thinking about it the other day. This is going to be my 11th season.
Oh my.
You're OG.
Yeah, the first set I got was back when the first set I ever had was in Mothwing. That's how long ago it was. But yeah, I got some, and of course back then it was made for elk hunting or whatever. But I used to wear it in the deer woods all the time, and it worked great.
Yeah.
And anyway, so they're a great company, and I know y'all have a lot of the gear as well. And but anyways,
not as much as you, but we've got some. You're the guy I holler at when I'm like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I've accrued quite a lot over the years and have tested a lot of it out. And anyways, but I wear a lot of the earlier season stuff. I like I actually wear a lot of the stuff that I wear elk hunting. I use for all my early season whitetail. Mm-hmm. So. Ascent pants, which are the super lightweight, breathable pants, and then Core lightweight hoodie is one of my go-tos, and then that Apex hoodie and Apex pant are awesome. Just a little bit heavier, but still good for warmer weather, and I love that. I love that merino and that Apex hoodie. And then I might, depends on how cool it gets, but I might throw in like a little heavier pant and maybe a light jacket or a vest or something as we get into it. And then I'll pretty much just live in my Stratus gear for the rest of the season for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something we've kind of learned to love is that Stratus stuff, man. The wind blocker or wind stopper is
a ticket, man. Yep. Absolutely. Growing up, we never had that stuff. We just had, a good insulated Cabela's jacket or whatever.
Yeah.
Coveralls. I lived in coveralls, man.
Oh, yeah. I had no telling how many pairs of coveralls I had. And good old do-a-fold long johns. And, man, we didn't know what we were missing until Windstopper was available.
Oh, I know it.
Dude, I can remember looking so just puffy in deer stands to the point where I was like, I'm not 100% sure I can draw my bow, and so I'm just not going to find out until the deer comes in. Like, I'm just going to surprise myself here.
I got so cold one time I got down and built a fire.
I know what you're talking about. I've been there.
Yeah.
And those all-day sits is like, you think the coldest you'd be is at daybreak when it's the coldest, but that's not true. You're the coldest at like 10 because you've sat there for like 4 or 5 hours.
The hand activity.
Yes, man. Just sometimes at 10 o'clock you're shivering so bad you can't climb down. Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I've kind of learned what to do, and just because I like it, and it's just that, that you gotta hang on that idea that anything might come walking by.
That's right.
And I don't do it unless it's the right time of year, because then it's just a waste. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to burn one. I mean, they're hard on you. It's hard to do that. And so I found, like, I stay standing most of the time. Or I'll take breaks, but I can't sit for that long. I can stand for that long. But I'll bring a thermos of coffee and some snacks, and somehow I can stick it out most of the time. Every now and then I'll bring a set of headphones and pop one in and maybe listen to a podcast or two, and it'll keep me going. At least I'm sure I'll get a lot of guys throwing hate at that, but anyways, you gotta do what you gotta do. Stick it out.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to a podcast, you can still use your eyes. If you're reading a book, you're kind of preoccupied.
Absolutely, and not flipping pages and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so
tell me this: how good are you at saying I'm going to eat a snack at noon and actually get until noon?
Wait until noon,
because I'm pretty sure I cheat about 5 minutes back almost every time. I can't make it.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to the movies and eating your popcorn in the previews. I mean, it happens for sure. The secret to that is just to bring a whole lot of food.
There you go. Then you can't eat
it. Then you can go ahead and eat a bunch, right when you get there, and have plenty for later. So you just gotta be smart, guys. You just gotta plan ahead.
Well, that's why you got that 2,700 pack.
That's right.
You just bring all the food.
That's right. I have very little gear, but a lot of food goes in there.
I got a grunt call. Well, never mind. I'm Mississippi. We don't need a grunt call. I got BINOs, and I got a bunch of honey buns.
Oh, man.
Case of honey buns. One of those cartons of goldfish from Sam's Club that has like 64 million
and
in there.
It doubles as a rattle bag.
That's right. Yeah.
In Texas, you use it as like a corn shaker.
Yeah.
It does sound exactly like corn. Shoot, you could probably throw them on the ground, and the deer would come after them.
I don't think anything can resist a goldfish.
That's true.
I cannot resist the goldfish cracker.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Kyle, it's been fun talking to you, man. It's always good to catch up, and ever since we met last year at QMA, I kind of knew that we're kind of kindred spirits. It's just cool to get to know people from across the country who care about the same kind of stuff that we all do, and what are you doing right now to get ready for this elk trip for this season, man?
Well, I have been training pretty hard the past few months. Actually, hit it pretty hard the past year or so. Just trying to make myself better, and I've done pretty good. But right now, I'm getting up and running a few miles at 5 o'clock or so in the morning before I get ready to go into work. And past few weeks, I've been doing 2 a days. So I do a run in the morning, do a run in the evening, and spending some time in the gym trying to do stairs and do some leg workouts and stuff. And, unfortunately, we don't have any hills. I live at 7 feet above sea level. And so it's kind of a challenge, to prep myself. Luckily for me, for whatever reason, I have always acclimated really well. And my dad's kind of the same way. The rest of my family really struggles when we go up there. It takes them, several days, but for some reason, like as soon as I step off the airplane, pretty much within a couple of hours, I'm good to go. And shoot, I may eat my words this year and get altitude sickness for the first time, but usually I'm pretty good. And so, yeah, just you can always be better. And so have been trying to improve and really focus on that for this coming season. And we'll see how things go.
Yeah. Well, you're sounds like you're working harder than I am. So I think you just kind of put a little motivation to me just then. So
well, I got to do something to offset all this, the goldfish crackers and backstrap and fried okra and whatever else we've been talking about.
That's me, dude. I pretty much run year round just so that I can eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But dude, it's been good talking to you, man, and I hope you fill a ton of tags this year because you're a good dude, and I love to hear you tell stories. So we'll have to have you back on and tell us about your elk that you got up there in Colorado.
Yep.
Well, we'll see. I'm just be happy to be back on the mountain, to be honest. So I appreciate the kind words, though. But
sure.
I'm always I'm just here to enjoy everything.
Yeah, we can tell, man. You're a community builder. I can see that through your social and everything. And on that, while we're talking about it, I think you're a pretty good follow. What's your Instagram handle for those who are listening?
It is K Bennett 0016, I believe.
Okay.
And let's see, Facebook, just me, Kyle, and DM me for my Tinder profile. No, I'm just but,
yeah, he is single, ladies. I know there's about 2 of you listening right now. No, we'll link to that in the show notes if anybody wants to follow. Kyle's always posting just I love like looking at your story because there's always like some cool thing from some awesome like wildlife photographer or something that you repost, and I just have a real appreciation for guys like that that can just spread like neat, cool things around because
I mean, there's so many people out here today who are have been working their butts off and I just like to build people up, I guess, or give people credit. I just try to enjoy everything and just try to help people out. So
it's awesome,
just
man.
like y'all got a great thing with the show going on. I've really enjoyed, especially all the backcountry series that y'all been doing lately. A lot of those guys are guys that I've like looked up to for a while, like Adam Foss, and I listened to a Snyder episode the other day, and those guys are so cool. So anyways,
thanks, man.
Well, yeah, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening and everything, and just for your support, man. And I guess just send us a picture from the mountain, man, and we'll have to have you on for a big bull breakdown or something like that.
We'll see, but I'll be more excited to hear about KC's Gila bull coming out. So I'm pretty jacked for you. I know that's a very coveted tag, so I hope it's not too much pressure on you. Hopefully, you just get to go live it up out there, but. Yeah. Hope you get to bring some big horns home.
I appreciate it, man. I do too. That's Tyler and I have spent a couple of hours today in conversation about that, about just managing expectations, but also dreaming. And you got to find the middle ground between that. And I'm a dreamer, man. So I'm sure by the time we cross the state line, I'll be thinking about 400s. But I'm going to try to stay grounded. So
yeah. All right, man.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate it, and we'll be talking to you soon, dude.
10-4. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.
All right, bye.
Well, I'm definitely interested to see if Kyle can follow up on that Mississippi property with another good buck this year. I know he didn't shoot it, but if their QDM strategy works out for them and starts to really level out to where, I mean, ideally, like you want to either see like a slight growth or kind of a similar situation every year at some point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to kind of max out your deer herd potential at one point, and there's going to be ups and downs for sure, but I think the consistency is what you're looking for a lot of times in that strategy,
Quite honestly, I'm just hungry after that. So, I'm ready to go eat. Grits. Oh, man. So we got to stop talking about food. But, yeah, I think so. I think that the cool thing is that even if Kyle and his family and the hunting guys there on their camp, if they don't really grow bigger deer, I don't think it's going to bother him.
No,
you know, I think
yeah.
that it's just what he likes to do, and he has a passion for it, and that's cool. I'd like to, you know, work my way towards that. I don't have quite the property to do it on yet. I can kind of do some deer stuff though, and I think it's just about working with what you have and just trying to do your best to, make your habitat as good as it can be, and just, try to be a good human, right? Just try to leave the earth better than you found it.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, man. So pretty awesome little talk there, man, that we got to have with him. I'm glad we did, because I don't know. For one thing, to me, like, it's good for people to know that there are people out there that exist that like that, because sometimes if you're looking through social media, you can kind of be like, man, I'm the only guy in this world that really doesn't like care only about big bucks. You know what I mean? Like, and so there's definitely it's good to know that, like, hey, there's other guys that like to put up salsa and pickled okra and whatever else, every year.
Yeah.
So, which I personally don't like pickled okra, but I love fresh okra, fried okra. You know? I mean, that's
I do too.
the
But
best.
pickled okra is good.
Pickled's not my favorite.
I don't like it boiled. It's not my thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll boil it up in some deer stew. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's
I
good
don't know
that way.
if you do that.
That adds a little bit of like
Robust.
silkiness to. But when my grandparents like to do straight boiled okra, and it's pretty slimy.
Yeah,
but
imagine.
I figured out if you do it in the microwave, it's not slimy.
Huh.
Like who?
Just
What?
'cause it's
How?
quick?
Who'da, how'da, whata? I don't
Yeah, I
know
don't know.
why. But somebody who understands plant proteins can probably help us out on that.
Yeah,
if you know, go on iTunes, leave us a comment on that, and let us know what's up with that. But,
For sure. Yeah. Good. Nice. Also, we are looking at putting out some more trail cameras all of a sudden.
We are
Not happy about it, Casey.
I asked Tyler when he wants to do it, and he said November. I said, that's too hot. Well, right now we really need to go in and just do like what would you call it? Like a special ops drop on a trail camera. Like, I don't want to go in and scout around or whatever, but we know one place we still kind of need one. We were actually down a camera when we went in. One of two in the backpack didn't work. You got a good life out of that camera. That's like 12 years old.
Yeah, it's an old camera. And my dad, I think it was my dad's actually, but he used it in Kansas for years.
Yeah.
So,
But we're going to need to put out one or maybe a couple more. Well, come season, things are going to shift around a little bit, and we're going to need a couple more, and we're going to need more in other states.
I
And
feel
stuff
like we
too.
have less this year than we did last year.
Do you think so?
Is that for real?
I've got two at my place. I'm going to pull one of them, but I'm still going to leave one over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, we lost some in the flood last year.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
So
I don't know. It just feels like, I'm like, man, we just don't quite have as many
I
as
don't
we
think we're ever going to have a season where we, don't say, man, we don't have as many trail cameras. Like, you're always going to have to add like one or two.
Yeah,
You know, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit kind of. I wanted to put some up in Kansas, some in Iowa when I go, up there, and I just don't know if I'm going to have any. I mean, I really don't want to go. Luckily, we our strategy this year was to put everything within about a half mile, and we did pretty good job of that.
Pretty good job of that.
There's a couple that are right, a little bit farther than that, but not too far. But the thing is, I just really don't want to bust it in there 0.6 of a mile to get a camera so I can, roll up to Iowa and put it on land up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of like, I just wish I just had one. And at this point, with many tags as I've got and as much money as I've spent on tags this year, it is just hard for me to go spend another 40, 60, 80, $100 on trail cameras,
Yeah.
So
I hear you. It's and it's one of those things, man. It's like, we put a lot of weight and a lot of value on them, but you can kill deer without them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that we do have them where if we're gonna put them out, we got them where they need to be. And here in Texas, because that's where they really do help us a lot.
Well, yeah.
In Kansas or in Iowa, there's deer everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're probably gonna see one.
Yeah.
So.
And your herd's going to replenish year after year. I mean, there are places here in Texas that we hunt that, like, if your big buck dies or gets killed and on that property, like, you may not have one next year.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to know if you're just sitting in the woods or if you're actually hunting a decent legal buck. You know?
And that's the other thing is around here, we have the 13-inch rule, and trail cameras help us a lot scouting that thing too. Because last year, for instance, there was a 3-year-old 7 or 8 point that I had on camera that when I saw him in person, I was like, ooh, that might be a shooter. But I knew from camera footage that he was probably like 12 inches wide. He had decent mass, not a bad-looking deer. He just wasn't very wide. And, that kind of thing matters. If you are trying to hunt a deer that's specific, you you kind of need to know if there's one in there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, guys, don't judge me on this, but one day I'm going to accidentally shoot a deer that's not 13 inches wide.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't, because I see deer come in that are just big old bristled up, just studs that are 5 years old or whatever. I mean, when I see deer like that on camera, I can't tell you how many times you and I have been watching and be like, oh, man, look at that buck, you know, whatever. I'd be like, man, how do we kill that deer? And you'll be like, he's not 13 inches wide. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm a doofus, you know. But, I just don't think about that. When it's a mature buck, when it's 4 or 5 years old, like, I'm thinking about shooting that deer. And so it's going to happen one day when you're not there. I'm going to be like, I just messed up.
That buck we called 7, you remember him?
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking about in particular.
Dead gum, dude. I mean, who knows how old that thing is?
Yeah.
And I think we had pictures. We didn't have any pictures of him last year.
Yeah,
he might have died of old age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that deer.
Yeah, he wasn't legal.
You need to get like a pass on that thing or something. I
know
don't know
it, man.
It's kind of crazy.
I know it.
But the law is the law.
Yeah.
So we will continue to abide by it to our best abilities. But
are you? I got a question for you in regards to kind of the trail camera strategy a little bit. But are you going to hunt that pond in there where we're talking about dropping stuff? Like, is there a chance that you hunt that thing, or are you going to be more in a different spot?
I think that you're a little bit more keyed up on the pond thing than I am.
I definitely am.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just not something I'm like, a pond. You know, it's just, I don't know.
But September 29th when it's hot.
You might be right, but are you going to want to sit in there when it's hot?
Oh, no.
Exactly.
But, I mean, better off than sitting somewhere else and doing nothing. I mean, I guess.
At 11 a.m. when deer are going to get up to drink?
Is that when they drink?
I think, I mean.
I feel like they drink before they go to eat in the evenings, too.
They do sometimes, I think. I mean, everything in Texas is pretty much like speculation.
Yeah.
Because they don't do specific things.
So would you hang a camera there to find that out, or is that not where you want to hang one?
I don't know.
You want to hang 2 in there?
I don't know. If you got to.
Dang, you don't know anything right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You usually know
I don't think
everything.
that's where I would put if I had one camera, I don't think that would be where we'd put it.
Yeah.
For my choice. But you and I might kind of kick it around and kind of decide that yes, but I think there's other food sources that would be in that area that would probably be a good thing to have, because I just feel like I don't have a clue. I don't know. Water just... I haven't seen it be consistent. Maybe it's because I haven't tried it hard enough. We do have a camera on water right now, and that might kind of help me learn a little bit more about that and maybe have a little bit more confidence in it. But I just feel like deer in Texas are pretty dang inconsistent. That's not a word. Inconsistent, except for the fact that they're going to eat when things are falling off of trees. That's the thing that you can kind of count on.
Which... that's the only thing in that's consistent, because then it becomes there are a million oak trees in the woods.
Oh yes, yes sir. It does look like it's going to be a good red oak year though. So Shumar trees should be a pretty good place to be.
I noticed some falling here, I think, and at the lodge the other day.
Yeah, I texted you when I was leaving the lodge. I said, "Hey, there's acorns out there."
Yep.
So. I think that was off a post oak tree, wasn't it? Which is weird.
I know there's a willow oak that drops big time right there, man.
Might be it. They drop all year long, it seems. But anyways, I'm looking forward to getting that last little bit out. When are we gonna check like preseason? Or are we gonna do? Are you thinking about doing 2 more pools or 1 pool?
1.
Just 1 more before we go hunt.
I think.
Okay.
The only time I see that we can really pull them before the season is probably, between like right before the Gila hunt. I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of days after we get back that we might could, but I've got 2 shows after we get back on that Friday and Saturday. Woo-hoo. So that's not going to be a great time for me to go checking. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's a lot of cameras out there. I don't think we can check them all.
Well,
there are a few that I would want to check, though.
I don't think we'd planned on checking them all.
Yeah, there's definitely
a couple
some.
we
The
had
pond
set
one
out.
is one I want to check.
Yeah,
I
think we can get that one done.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it. That's kind of details we can talk later. But I don't know. I kind of wonder if we shouldn't try to get 1 in and then 1 right before season starts or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's that whole thing where you're just trying to hold off. But we've had them sitting for like a month, right? That's pretty good for us.
Oh, really?
I feel like it's been a while.
I thought we set them this month.
I thought it was like early August, like first couple days of August.
Yeah, that's only like 3 weeks or less.
All right, we'll let them see it.
Yeah, it's one of them things where, like, I feel like on an early season pattern, I feel like probably just need to do one.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go twice, check different cameras kind of thing.
That's
you know,
true.
but like if you get in there like 2 times in September prior to the season and then 2 weeks prior or whatever, like I think you could definitely get a deer off his pattern if he smelled you twice in there or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
I
All
don't know.
right. Well,
Anyway.
we'll hold off. And if you're getting good pictures of deer, send us some pictures. We like
Yeah.
deer pictures. Anyways.
Also on social media, we have been posting some just like throwback pics from the Bucks and Bulls episode. So y'all go check those out. And we're trying to make you guys recall what we said or guess things like width or the year it was killed or whatever. So if you guys know any of that information or remember any of it, feel free to weigh in because it's fun for us to see you guys give wrong answers.
Yeah,
So.
or you can just make fun of me and how dumb I look in most of my old pictures, and my new ones alike.
I had a guy that thought I was you behind your bull in that picture.
Really?
Yesterday, he was like, "Man, what were you doing posing behind that guy's bull?" And I was like, "That's not me. Did you not zoom in? Because your face was like looking
Yeah.
at the bull or whatever. I guess he didn't see the long hair or whatever.
That's weird.
The older guy, he didn't.
Oh, it's a little blurry.
Yeah, he
I
probably,
got you.
Probably couldn't see
That
him.
happens.
I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but that wasn't me. Though.
That's funny.
Thanks for looking at our Instagram, though.
That's right. That's right. Well, don't forget about the giveaway, guys. Go leave us a review on iTunes. You can win some VORTEX BINOs and a bunch of other cool stuff. Man, is that about
That's it,
Do we
dude.
have anything else we need to talk about?
No, I'm just ready, man. So let's just get our work done today and maybe go shoot the bows tonight or something like that.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Count me in.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.